women become stability, people of stability at home, right? That's a historic thought process. Think about the time of kings and queens, right? The queen stayed home, the kings went to war. That was their business, right? So the kings ran the business, the women, the queens ran the household. So historically, for centuries, unfortunately, that was a belief. Of course, there are some exceptions, but exceptions are not examples, right? So historically, what we are now, people like you and people like me, what we are fighting against is that historic pattern, which is why we see less women in big positions now, because the denominator 20 years ago, there were less women working. There were less women in corporate jobs. So when the denominator was so low, as years passed, less number of women grew, right? So that was the starting point. I will tell you, one of the best things is it's changing. It's changing so completely, because now if you look at the corporations, there are more women denominators, which means in the next 5 to 6 years, you'll see them grow into bigger jobs. And then also, because there were not too many senior women, there was not a balanced way, I mean, not all the time, but there was an opportunity for a balanced way to bring other women up, right? Because think about it, I got a job now, I have a senior job within the company. It's given me an opportunity to think balanced and say, I'm going to take the most competent person, man or woman, it doesn't matter. This has allowed my teams to have somewhat of an equality of men and women. So I think the denominator was the important thing, because 20 years ago, there were less women working, so less women growing. Now, with more women working, in 4 to 5 years, I do think that the corporate landscape will change. And I hope I'm a part of that, and I continue to crash the ceilings for people like you to follow.
There are some more questions, ma'am. Two questions. I think we can club them. Who is your inspiration in your life, ma'am? Who is your role model, ma'am?
Okay, yeah, those are both the same question. That's a great
Yeah.
question. I love talking about that. So thank you for asking that question. I can't see because I'm trying to focus, otherwise I would have called your name out. So thank you for asking the question. So let me tell you a little bit about my parents so that you know that it's not a cliche answer, you know? My dad, Mr. Radhakrishnan, my mom, Mrs. Sujata Radhakrishnan. I'm going to, with your permissions, take the next minute and a half to tell their story, and then you'll know why they're my inspiration. My father was born in a little village in Ottapalam. So if you know, in Palakkad district, he is from Ottapalam, in a very, very small, comes from a very small village. I think even today, there's probably very few people in that village, right? So it's very small. From there on, he got educated at a very young age, maybe 16 or 17, left Kerala and left the place, left the state. And from there on, self-educated, self-built himself to become a very, very strong, respected businessman in India. He's 75 today. In 2016, May of 2016, my mom called me crying. It was late at night. It was probably your midnight. Called me crying, saying that my dad had a heart attack and I needed to go because he was through his last breath. Of course, from there on, you could imagine what the next 24 hours was like, because I was in the flight. I was not sure if I was going to see my dad alive or not alive. I walked in, he was still alive. I walked in straight to the hospital. Kuppasamy Naidu is the hospital. He was alive. 23 days, after 23 days of kidney failure, liver issues, diabetes, he was allowed to go into an open heart surgery and his valve was replaced. So he has an artificial valve. This was 2016. That was May. A few months passed. My mom and dad went to the doctors because they were going back for a heart checkup, and he was diagnosed with colon cancer. Same year, within 3 months after an open heart surgery, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. From there on, same year, he went through chemo. Of course, he shaved his hair. At the end of all of that, he's here still with us, right? He is still here. Knock on wood, I thank the Lord for it, alive and well. And even today, when I wake up in the morning, I call them first thing, one of the first things in the morning, And my dad will tell me, keep going, keep going. Nothing is impossible. He calls me Tinku at home. So he says, nothing is impossible for you, Tinku. It's so important that you keep growing so you can make a lot of difference for a lot of people. Think about that. That's a man with an artificial valve, survivor of cancer, 75 years old, pushing his daughter to keep growing so that I can change the world. That's my father. Let me tell you about my mother. She was born in Valanjeri in Malappuram, born to a professor, Indira Gandhi award winning top professor of the country. She was a very popular student, a great debater, well known as a student growing up. But then at a young age of 16, she lost her father, who was her big support system. At the age of 18, 18 is so young. My daughter is 16, guys. She was married. She left from Valanjeri to Bangalore, right? No language skills, no knowledge. 18 is young at those days, right? Nowadays, you have internet, Instagram, Facebook, right? All kinds of things. You're so well connected. Those days, you didn't have it, right? She traveled. From there on, for the longest time, she stayed. She took care of my sister and I, my father and his family, the best wife, daughter, mother, daughter-in-law that you could find. Years later, at 62, she is now a very, very well-known social worker. She supports a lot of organizations. She actually supports a Malayalam school in Coimbatore, taking care of Malayali kids that may not be financially really strong. She supports them, she sponsors them, she does an amazing, amazing job. While growing up, my sister and I, now think about it, this was how many years ago? I was born in 1979. Never did once my father or mother tell me that I couldn't do something because I was a girl. They never said that to me. On the contrary, they said, you have been put on earth to grow, to rule the world, and make a difference for people. Even today, they say exactly that. That's what I grew up with. That's my inspiration. They are my role models. Even today at 62 and 75 with plenty health situations, they push me. They are hardworking. They are up early in the morning. They support the society. He still runs his business. That's where I get my inspiration from.
One more question is there, ma'am. Almost you have answered it. Ma'am, till the stage of achievement of yours, who's your pillar of strength in your life?
Yeah, I've had a few. My parents are certainly someone, they've been a great pillar of strength. My husband is amazing. He keeps pushing me too, right? It's never a question of, oh, you're going to be late today, oh, you're going to travel. Never, not once. His name is Samir Ramkrishnan. He's always telling me, go accomplish. You are born to accomplish something. Keep going. He's a great pillar of strength. I get a lot of mentorship from him. So he's a good friend for me. So that supports a lot. My teachers, I told you, Dr. Padmavati, Dr. Yashoda Devi in my college, they are a great support. I have a great community of friends like Nila who support me. So here's what, like, the moral of the story is this. I have had great groups of people in different parts of the world that support me, different age groups, different expertise, and that has helped me tremendously. That's a good idea for you guys to think about, right? Who are a couple of teachers that could become your pillar of strength all through your life? Are there some friends, right, outside of close friends, right? That's good. But are there some level-headed friends that could always provide you advice? 20 years from now, if you were going to run the world, are they still good people that can give you level-headed advice? They become your board of directors. Your parents or some family members, if you have, that makes sense, that's good. People in your community, that could help, right? And over a period of time, this year I went public on Instagram, and I get a lot of strength from that community too. It's a small community. It's only 1,200 or so people, but they have provided me strength too. So you can find strength from different groups, and I do that. I get inspiration and strength from various people for various reasons.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question is that I think your experience have inspired so many people. When a person is an introvert, There are many chains in front of him or her way towards their dream of being something. What is your suggestion for them to be something that they want to?
Yeah, Sumaya, I see your question, Sumaya. Thank you. That's actually a really thoughtful question, right? Here's the interesting part. In the last 15 years, I've had an opportunity to meet so many leaders as part of my career, some of them extroverts, some of them real introverts, but highly intelligent people. As an introvert, now you may not be comfortable speaking up and trying to gather a bunch of friends and like going out there and socializing, right? But what you can do is in your own quiet way, learn and grow and make a difference. The fact that you asked a question today, that's a good strength, right? You're an introvert, but you still had the courage to ask a question. Those are things I'll ask you to do, right? Little things, Sumaya, make a big difference. So as an introvert, you may not be someone that will go to a large class gathering and say, everybody, come on, let's do this, right? You may not say that. Instead, what you could do is one person at a time, little at a time, get to know them. Because that's easier for an introvert, right? That's a good thing to do. If you're a good writer, start writing. That could help. If you're an introvert, the other thing you could do is think about social media. If that excites you, right? Is that an opportunity for you where you could start expressing yourself and gaining feedback, right? So today the world is so much more digital. It provides a lot of opportunities. So that's how I would think about it, because it's very natural, right? Because you're not naturally forthcoming. One of the advices I gave a friend of mine who was an introvert is I gave her a challenge. I said, every month she had to meet 3 new people and learn something from them. It's a challenge, it's a homework, right? So now, even though she was an introvert, she challenged herself to meet 3 new people and learn something from them. Now, this has been going on for 2 years. She has met and has about 50 new people in her little community. Still one on one, but she learns from about 50 new people. So that's something you could try out, right? Make yourself a mental note every month. Give yourself a little goal. Maybe I'll meet one person or 2 people, but new people, and learn something, right? People actually love it. As odd as it may seem, just go out there and say, hey, teach me something. I want to learn something from you. Can you teach me something? And that helps tremendously. Try it out and tell me how it feels. You can DM me via Instagram or you can LinkedIn me and tell me, and I'll continue to help you, Sumaya.
Ma'am, there is also one more question in the chat box. Ma'am, can a woman who doesn't have any support from her family, friends, etc., can she able to achieve her goal?
Sure, sure, 100% sure, because it's you. At the end of the day, it's you. And don't look at family and friends from the absolute point of people I was born with, people I go to school with, right? Find family outside family. My Instagram community is some kind of a family for me. So find family outside of the family you were born into. They are not necessarily like blood family, but family simply means people who will be there to unconditionally support you and have your back. That's the meaning of family, right? So don't always look narrowly, right? Within the house, within the college, within the school. Think broadly. I'm not necessarily saying go hunt for people. When you come along a good person, be open minded. When you're in a meeting, event, weddings, and things like that, be open minded, right? That will allow you to meet people that may not be family, that may not be friends, but in the long run could become family, could become friends, and help you. While you do that, though, you are still for yourself, right? At the end of the day, regardless of all the support you get from people, the person who still has to do the job is you. So even though you may not have support from friends and family, you got to think about, what do I want to accomplish? How do I go about it, right? Do I go about it by learning? Do I go about it by pursuing another job? Do I go about it by writing more about it? Do I go about it, right? So you got to ask yourself and keep going, because your mom, your dad, your friends can all support you, but at the end of the day, you're still supposed to do the heavy lifting. You're still 90% of the battle. The support is only 10%. So the good news is you have 90% of control. So good luck to you.
Thank you so much for answering the question so patiently, ma'am. Thank you once
It's my
again for
pleasure.
giving your valuable insights on women entrepreneurship and also how to be successful women, a good entrepreneur, and also an efficient leader. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
It's
May I
my
now
pleasure.
request?
Thank you for having me, and Dr. Nila, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Mrs. Shubita Menon, Head of Department of MSW, Mercy College, Palakkad, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to Ms. Shubita Menon.
I think Shubita may be having network issues. There's heavy rain in her place, she had informed us. So I take up the opportunity to thank the extremely inspiring speaker of the day, Ms. Shimna, for having enlightened us with so many good ideas, for being my role model. I still remember how much I used to look up at Shimna when she was my classmate in school and in college. So it was really wonderful to have met such a good human being. I remember Shimna with the small ponytail in the school uniform as we ran around the trees. It was a gift that God gave me in my life. I certainly feel Shim is a great gift for me, as you are to so many million people in the world. Every Friday, so many children look up at you for your Friday forwards. So, thank you very much for such an inspirational talk and for still being the role model of all of us, classmates and people. Nearly 300 people are listening to you, Shim, at this time. We are not able to take up all the questions because we are crossing the time we had actually planned. And after submitting my gratitude to my friend, I thank our sister principal, Dr. Sister Gisela, for presiding over the function. I thank all the faculty members, especially Miss Tensi, Miss Shubita, Miss Remya, and Miss Revati, who joined me and made this program a grand success. I thank my computer experts, Mr. Jason and Miss Samiha, for giving us this connectivity and making Shimna come in front of us and talk to us as if she's right in front of us. Thank you, Mr. Jason, Miss Samiha, and I thank all the listeners, participants from all over the world and continents. I see many people from my own college, from Maharashtra, from so many other North Indian states. I thank you all for your patient hearing and for making this program a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, one and all, for your valuable participation in the one day national international seminar. All of you, please fill and submit the feedback form link given in the chat box. Participation certificates will be sent to your registered email ID. Thank you once again. With these words, I would like to wind up this webinar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shimna. Hope you can see me and hear me. Close, close. Close, Sidhu. Can you? Can you? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Revati, Ramya, Stancy. Much